friendo, Steve here, and welcome back to the Four Lights Podcast. As always, I'm joined by my co-host, Big Jeff. How you doing?
Doing good, man. How you doing?
I am doing wonderful. Today, we're going to talk about an episode that kind of hit me in the feels a little bit.
A little bit.
I don't know if it's because I'm just older now, and
We
you
are
know,
older.
we get older.
Well, I was telling you, I don't think I watched this episode since the late 90s, since the mid-late 90s, which is when we were in our height of Star Trek Next Generation watching. Throughout the 90s.
We had kind of a conversation before the cameras were rolling about watching certain things, watching certain movies or TV shows, experiencing things when in life you don't have a lot of experience quite yet.
Correct.
With the real world. And of course, you know, a lot of this stuff we initially experienced, like you said, when we were teens.
Yeah.
I think I'm pretty sure I've seen this episode a couple times since then, just because I'm a big old nerd. But this is the first time sitting down and actually taking notes about it. And this might be the first time I've watched this episode since I've had a child of my own.
Yeah.
But regardless of the reason, when you're older, you have more perspective and more your priorities are more in order, or ideally they are anyways. And so this episode, it's about kids. And you know what they mean to humanity and to people and
Humans specifically.
Yeah.
How attached they are to kids, etc.
Yeah. So I actually really enjoyed this episode. Is when the bow breaks.
Yeah.
And I actually really enjoyed this episode. There's a couple things about this episode that I really enjoyed, including the fact that its main special guest is Jerry Hardin.
Jerry Hardin.
Yeah.
Who shows up later in the show in one of my favorite two-parters.
Yeah.
Plays Mark Twain in Time's Arrow.
That is one of the sillier but so much fun episodes. Like it is so much fun.
It is kind of ridiculous, but it's also so enjoyable that I will watch that two-parter. Oftentimes, I would say probably once a year at least.
Yeah. That's one of those that if it's on, you can't turn it off.
It's just very enjoyable.
It is. It really is.
It is essentially the inception of the relationship between Picard and Guinan.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Yeah. And
I really hope they explore in the new Picard show.
Oh, that'd be great. Do we know that? Do we know if has it been said? Does anybody know if Whoopi is going to be?
I hope so. She still looks great. She still just looks like Guinan. Like she kind of looks like she did in the 90s. Like,
I know.
There's no reason. And Guinan is ageless.
Yeah.
So it kind of makes sense.
Boy, I can't wait
also,
for that Picard show.
I hope they bring back John Delancey.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
I guess it'd be fitting for him to look older because Q would always sort of keep pace. Like it would be totally a Q thing to do that.
I mean, John Delancey still looks really good. I mean, Patrick Stewart still looks great too. Like,
yeah, he still looks really good. Yeah. They all do. In any event, this is When the Bow Breaks, first season episode. It kicks off with Riker once again just strolling through the Enterprise.
Yeah,
he the last place
doesn't manage his downtime well. He really just wanders around a lot.
The last place Riker ever wants to be, seemingly, is the bridge of the Enterprise.
Yeah.
Especially in this first season. So he's strolling around, and then there's plenty of people strolling around also with much more sense of urgency than Commander Riker. But amongst the pack of people is this little kid named Harry who's bolting through the hallways, running away from what turns out to be his dad, and he smacks right into Riker's hip, and he bounces off him. Riker plays it off, and he says, "Hi, Harry. How you doing?" And Harry's like, "Hey, sorry, Commander Riker." And then Dr. Harry's dad, forget his name.
Some science officer.
Yeah.
It's in a blue uniform.
Dr. B, something or another.
Science or medical officer.
Yeah. He rolls up, and he's like, "Harry, get over here." "Sorry, Commander Riker." And then he's like, "Harry, you got to do your calculus." And Harry's like, "I don't want to do calculus. I don't want to do nothing. I don't want to do calculus."
Nobody wants to do calculus.
Yeah. I sucked. You know, that's the one point of contention that Larson has with me, because whenever people bring up intelligence, the idea of intelligence, who's smarter, I always illustrate to Larson, well, we met when I was a junior in your physics class and you were a senior.
No, your calculus class. It was Cragen's calculus class, wasn't it?
I met Larson technically in physics.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember like
Mr. Yost?
Yeah. I don't remember being introduced to him or anything, but we were in that class. And so I always say I was a year ahead of you when it comes to the smarts. Yeah. And then he points out that he got an A in calculus, and I got a 32% in calculus. But then I turn that back on him and just say, well, I was just partying my whole senior year, so it didn't matter, which technically isn't true, but don't tell him that. Anyways, yeah, no, I met him in physics. Yeah, why?
I think I'm just crossing memories because I used to visit you when you were in calculus.
True, we met the year before.
But no, if you took
I was calculus senior year, man.
What
You were
class
gone.
did you have with Cragen though? Because I used to go visit you in a Cragen class.
Why would you have been? I didn't
Wasn't
have
I?
Cragen until I was a senior, man.
Whose class was that?
Well, we had Buechner together, but I was.
No,
that,
we met in Suter's class.
we met in Suter's class.
Yeah.
We kind of met in Suter's class, but we weren't introduced until Buechner's class.
Yeah, that was my senior year, your junior year. Right?
Trigonometry.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, Becky Sampe introduced us.
Sure.
Yeah, but yeah, I forget even where I was going with that story. I just like telling that story; it makes me laugh. Oh yeah, calculus. What? This kid's like 9 years old. What's he doing calculus for?
Calculus is terrible, by the way.
I didn't understand it. Like from day one.
There's no reason to do it unless you want to be a physicist.
I
It's
didn't get it.
It's really just all word problems and formulas that are needed to solve complex word problems based in math that's only associated with like physical reality.
I literally remember hanging out with Dan Leard the first day after school doing calculus. And I was like, hey, can you help me with my homework? And he was like, yeah, you do this, this, this. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Didn't get it. Cragen let me audit my grade. So I was still able to graduate with like a really good GPA and like in the top 10% because I tried. I literally tried. I did all the homework, even though I didn't know what I was doing. I took all the tests.
Yeah.
32%.
That's an F.
That's a deep F. That's like, God, is this guy brain dead or what?
Yeah, I never took calculus.
I didn't get a bit of it.
So when you went to college, the only math you ever took was statistics, right?
Yeah.
I took pre-calculus.
Oh, yeah.
I passed that.
Yeah.
Like kind of barely.
I
think I got like a B- or something.
because like, I don't know why I kept it. Like, I think at that point I could have just like not taken calculus. I could have just taken something else.
Oh, you had enough math credits already.
Yeah. But I wasn't savvy. I didn't know that stuff. I was like, oh, next is calculus. Sure, whatever. Can't be too hard. Whoa, that was really hard. So anyways, Riker's strolling around the Enterprise. Harry doesn't want to do calculus. Riker gets to the bridge and he's limping because Harry's big ass head just hit him in the hip. And then the Enterprise, they tell him, they're like, hey, we're tracking some energy stuff. It's like breadcrumbs. It's like a trail of energy that somebody seemingly might have left here. And then Riker's like,
Weird thing to pick up on, by the way, because there's just energy everywhere.
yeah.
There should be energy trails throughout the entire universe. So
I mean, given how huge, like, just even the galaxy itself is,
yeah.
and like our quadrant, the alpha quadrant of the galaxy, is like massive.
Mm-hmm.
The idea that the Enterprise would stumble upon a planet is kind of weird.
Yep.
But Picard was like, Riker, look at the coordinates, and Riker's like, Aldea. When I was a little kid, they used to talk about Aldea, this invisible planet where everybody they got their technology so cool that they can just focus on doing absolutely nothing, like arts and culture. Like Riker really loved the idea that a planet of people figured out how not to work.
Yeah.
Like they developed a computer system, something, and not only that, they made themselves invisible and had a shield so nobody could bug them, which is just the most Riker thing to say.
It's kind of a dick move when you think about it, though. It's like, oh, we're too good for any of you, by the way. We're out. Just Mike dropping out of existence.
Yeah,
like,
man.
we're going to go do our own thing. You guys, good luck with whatever you're doing.
Yeah, because like seemingly this culture has maybe been around longer than like humanity by a quite a sight, because they have information, it's revealed later. They have information about the galaxy and areas of the galaxy that humanity's never set foot in.
Yeah.
And they're offering that up in exchange for kids. And so it's like a super advanced civilization, but they're just like, yeah, we're not going to do anything. We're just going to focus on making wood sculptures and let our computer do everything.
We're gonna make music with our weird instruments that look like that old Simon board game. That was weird. That creepy old dude was trying to get the joke.
That was fucked up. We'll talk about we'll talk about that in a second. Okay, so anyways, Riker, everybody's very excited about this idea of Aldea. And that's where they are. That's where this invisible planet is supposed to be. Troy then senses that there's like thousands and thousands of people somewhere very close. So they're like, whoa, there might be a planet here. Sure enough, this big orange planet decloaks. Riker smiles. He goes up next to Picard and basically whispers in his ear, "It's Aldea." And Picard's like, "Oh God,
I don't know why he's so horny about this one idea.
I don't know, man.
Of Aldea.
Just you don't have to do shit there." He's like, "Really? I can just sit there and watch two girls, one harp? Awesome." I wonder if they're gonna do the bathtub
thing. He does
thing.
That a lot anyway.
Yeah, I know. But, you know, he don't like to be on the bridge. He's a big career guy, but at the same time, he doesn't like responsibility. It's a push and pull with him. Anyways, the Enterprise is being scanned, and so Picard's like, well, we're friendly. Let's open hailing frequencies. And then a very lovely lady named Rochella answers. And Picard is like, hey, we want to meet, you know, age, sex, location. You want to meet?
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah. And then her and Jerry Harden's character, Radu, they both beam to the bridge, and immediately he's like, oh, God, it's so bright in here. My eyes are hurting. But they seem nice enough. They seem kind.
It's a little bit of a violation of protocol, though. Like, they should have had more permission, and they probably should have been beamed over by the Enterprise's technology.
Yeah, they're kind of big dogging them a little bit. Like, hey, look what we can do. We can be here.
There's no telling, like, because, at least ostensibly, and this is referenced to other episodes, oh, no, I think Crusher actually says this. Oh, you guys didn't go through our decontamination process.
Oh,
right?
God, yeah.
Does she say that?
I don't remember, but it wouldn't surprise
Maybe she
me.
says that in other episodes, but there is when the Enterprise beams people on board, ostensibly, and stated either here or in other episodes, they put those entities through some level of decontamination to make sure that they are screening out anything that might be infectious for other members of the Enterprise.
Yeah. Pretty useful tool.
Yeah, which would be a very complex thing because you got to figure there's a bunch of different races on the Enterprise. And they're going to have a bunch of different sensitivities to a wide variety of bacteria or viruses or just general materials.
You could just beam over and be a walking peanut allergy.
Yeah, totally.
You know. So anyways, they just roll over. They beam over. They seem nice enough, though. Let's see here. And then they invite the crew to Aldea. Radu's like, it's too bright in here, so why don't you come to Aldea with us? So they leave. Troy then says that she's like, you know, I don't really know. I think they want something really big from us, something that we're not going to want to part with. And Riker, Crusher, and Troy are all beamed away. And Picard says something like, interesting choice. Meaning they knew that Riker was going to go, but then they also chose two women that are on the bridge as well. Not Tasha, but Crusher and Troy, so for whatever reason. So anyways, back on the bridge, Wes... Oh, yeah, so Crusher, Troy, and Riker, they all show up, and Radu's like, welcome. Then we're back on the bridge. Wes and Data are chatting are just chatting about the Aldean shield system thing. Just a bit of business until a huge yellow scanning ray... It's like one of those, I don't know if you've seen a commercial for that flashlight that they have now, that you're in the dark, like you can be on the street and you shine it at a house and the entire house is like
no kidding
lit up. It's an insanely powerful flashlight.
I haven't seen it.
There's a setting on there that's like a strobe, and it's literally meant to like deter robbers. It's like there's an intruder in your house. You don't need a gun. You can have like a strobe
Instantly
light.
gives them a seizure.
Yeah, exactly.
That's dope. I haven't seen that. I would buy one.
Yeah, me too. I should. So anyways, after that, the scanning ray is like going through the bridge of the Enterprise, and it lands on Wes.
Wesley, yeah.
And he says, "Oh, scary, but I didn't feel anything." And then, actually, you know, this is actually a decent Wes episode.
Yeah,
Wes is actually doing a good work, good job. Yeah, he does. He does.
That's good here.
Worf reports all decks. Everybody saying that all the children were scanned during this process. So something fishy is there with the kids. back on Aldea, Radu is talking to Riker about their culture. And he says, we need help. We need a younger generation. And Riker says, okay, wait a second. You need our help educating your kids about your culture? And he's like, no, we don't have kids. Rochella is the youngest person on our planet.
And she's like late 20s, early 30s.
Right, exactly. And so they're like, the medical community, they can't do anything. We want your kids. In exchange, we'll give you some cool technology, maybe some information. And then they all get really indignant. They're like, Riker's like, no, we don't know. We don't do that. Crusher's like, you're not taking our kids. And then they do. They beam Riker, Crusher, and Troy back to the bridge, and they just steal a bunch of kids.
We steal like 8 kids.
Yeah.
But it's weird to think about, like, essentially that planet has been going through roughly 30 years of children of men. Mm-hmm. But they somehow, I guess, have kept it together. Like, they haven't descended into chaos like they do in that scenario. Well,
given how old their civilization is, maybe they've moved past the point where that would happen, maybe. Mm-hmm.
Side note, Children of Men, great fucking movie.
Oh, my God, that movie's so good. Yeah. Oh, that is so good. Let's see here. So Picard is talking with Radu on the screen. And he's like, hey, give us our kids back. You can't do that. Give me back my son. And then, no, he's like, give us back Harry and Wes and all them. And then he cuts them off and is like, oh, I can tell you don't really want to talk right now. So let us know when you do want to talk. Wes is back down on the planet Aldea. And he's sort of in charge of the kids.
He's the eldest of the kids. Like, the kids range in age from, I'd say, like, the youngest Alexandra is probably like 3 or 4.
This is probably close to like 5. Yeah, probably 5.
5 to maybe 11. I think is the oldest girl, and then Wes is like 14. Yeah,
there's like a beefy little girl there.
She's like 12,
but she doesn't really say anything. But then Radu talks a little bit to Wes, and then they mention the custodian, and he's like, "Ooh, what's a custodian?" They're like, "We'll find out." Wes says, I want to go home. Radu tries to butter him up a little bit, be like, no, you'll be really happy here. You know, you'll achieve your full potential. And then little girl Alexandra goes up to them and, you know, goes to shake their hand. She's a very personable little girl.
Very precocious.
Yeah, she's well casted. And then we're in the conference room and we get my favorite scene of anything, panicky parents. Yeah. What are you gonna do, Picard? What are you gonna do?
Most angry PTA meeting on in the Enterprise.
Yeah, and like the doctor dude is there. He's like, the last time I saw my Harry, I yelled at him. And Picard's.
I kind of want to cut the scene and then cut in like the scene of Maud. Is it Maud Flanders? Or it's a wife of the Reverend?
What about the children?
Won't somebody please think of the children?
Yeah. What are you gonna do? But that'd be me, anyways.
Yeah, for sure.
The fuck, Picard? You're supposed to be safe on this ship.
No, like, everybody should be more pissed, actually.
Yeah,
like,
pretty much. Yeah.
At some point, the Enterprise should have contacted Starfleet, like, hey, guess what? A weird alien race that hasn't been around for several decades because they dropped out of existence because they were like, fuck you guys. Mm-hmm. Just kidnapped our children.
Yeah.
We need some backup.
Yeah, you guys all need to get out of here.
Yeah.
Top science ships.
It's like super technologically advanced race.
Yeah.
Kidnapped several of our children. This is inexcusable.
Mm-hmm.
Send help.
Yeah. Picard's like, we'll be fine.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out. We're not telling anybody about this. So, anyways, back in Aldea, Rochella is playing with Alexandra. They're having a good time. Wes and some of the kids come in. And then there's already some sort of new parents waiting to take some of the kids. They all seem nice enough. Wes is being pretty belligerent about the whole thing, which is good. He's laying down his ground rules.
He's great in this episode, actually.
Yeah, he really is.
Will Wheaton does a great job in this episode.
Yeah.
I had no problem.
I was very comforted by Wes in this episode.
Yeah,
I was like,
totally.
oh, man, I'd want him to be in charge.
Absolutely.
There's some artist types that want Harry to be an artist, so they take him. And then we see who's going to take little Katie. And it is a older, really sketchy looking dude who just looks grabby.
Looks like the kind of guy that just hangs out behind a Kmart like that.
Yeah.
know?
He was also ill-colored. Did you like his? So he's an older white guy, but his skin just looked like super like sickly.
Well, they make all the
That's
inhabitants
right.
of
They're
that planet
radiated.
look sickly.
They went kind of like Harry's parents seemed okay, but then you also
they
see
look
them.
pretty pale.
They
They have the whole scene where
She
where
was
she's
making
putting the
up,
cream
yeah.
on. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like before you understand that they're going through radiation poisoning, like Rochella looks fine, but again, she's probably doing the makeup. But it was really unsettling.
Yeah.
Like Katie gets stuck not with like, I don't know, a younger, more vibrant mom or dad or both or whatever. She's stuck with like creep old guy.
He's kind of creepy. Yeah, I just feel like, yeah, you're right. They could have picked a better, maybe a slightly more appropriate actor. I think maybe they were trying to be like, this guy is a musical genius.
Yeah, right.
He's
That's
been
yeah.
alive for so long that he
Yeah.
understands music in a way that other people would not.
Yeah, but it just had a
But
it had an arranged marriage business transaction feeling to it, you know? And like maybe if they had gone the route of, hey Wes, this super old musician is gonna teach you about, maybe the super old musician, maybe I don't know, maybe the couple should have been, maybe like the super old guy should have been like, I don't know, an astronomy guy or something, and he could have gone with Wes. Like that, like
Yeah.
Wes is old enough to fend off a creep, you know?
sure.
And then match.
Conversely, you have like several shows in the 80s where it's like there's a little girl in charge of or under the charge of an old man.
Yeah, I know.
Like Punky Brewster and shit. You know?
Yeah,
that was a
yeah,
show.
yeah. But that old man was super like he was. I forget his name, but
Wasn't it Commandant Lassard from the Police Academy movies? It's the same actor, right?
yeah, it was.
He's great.
It was.
He's
Who
so
doesn't love
funny.
him? Who doesn't love that guy?
That guy's great.
Anyways,
He's definitely dead now. He's got to be.
yeah.
He
You
was
know,
great, though.
probably there's probably a bunch of our old college teachers probably dead by now. You know?
Sure.
That's grim. Anyways,
Nate Thomas is still going.
yeah, he was fairly young.
pretty young.
Yeah, he was pretty young.
He's still teaching, I think.
That's good. I liked him a lot.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah. Let's see here. Radu tells Wes, this is it. It's a done deal. You're going to have to help them with transition. And then there's a little bit of conflict here because he's like, Rochella, Alexandra's new parents are waiting. And Rochella's like, no, she's mine. Keep away. It's my redhead. On the bridge, Data has discovered there might be some wiggle room here. There's some weird fluctuations in the planet's shielding. Picard, he understands he's got to keep those Aldeans negotiating. He says once they know that we are not going to leave without our kids, they will close up shop and disappear.
Very optimistic on Picard's part.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that is his take. Also ends up being optimistic on Data's part that he can work through all the permutations that he needs to in order to find a hole in the shield.
Yeah, yeah. So,
But he's going on that angle.
a lot of things break their way in this episode.
Yeah.
This easily could have ended up pretty dark for the Enterprise kids.
Yeah.
Because if you think about
Because
it,
they just stole kids.
they just stole kids, and they're introducing those kids to a highly radioactive environment.
Oh, yeah.
Those kids would be dead, especially like if like this has been going on for generations. Their bodies might be a bit more resistant to it, like the Aldeans, but those kids are like they'd be dead within weeks probably.
Yeah. I mean, you would assume that that the radioactive properties are just increasing, right?
Yeah.
Because everyone's been sterile essentially for about 3 decades.
Yeah. Yeah. It would not end good. In any event, back on Aldea, Wes has been taken to see their big, giant, do-everything computer, the Custodian, and he's there with an old lady named Doana, I think.
Who's like his foster mother, essentially.
I guess so, yeah, but she is cold.
Yeah.
And she's kind of dull.
She's terrible.
She's kind of dull in the head.
Yeah, like she's supposed to be the one to teach him his fullest potential.
Right, yeah.
She
can't handle the most basic questions about their
No.
computer system. Their computer
knows
system.
nothing.
Yeah.
She's not like, she doesn't even seem all there, to be honest.
Because they get there and she's like, Custodian, this is Wesley. Hello, Wesley. It's like Mr. Ed. And he's like, you now have 3rd level clearance. And so Wes asked Duana a little bit about the Duana.
Well, Duana's like, yeah, I know, right?
About the custodian.
Duana's like, you can ask any question you want, like of the custodian that has all the answers.
Yeah.
And Wes is like, cool. Hey, Duana, what is this thing's power source? Where's the voice coming? Like all these questions about the custodian as opposed to like interacting with the custodian.
Yeah.
Which is cool because Wes is immediately distrustful of the custodian.
Yeah.
But also weird. Like it's a weird choice.
Yeah.
And it does eventually come out, and I think this is where they're going with it. That, and I think maybe that's why Duana is so prized in the society, is that she is like maybe the foremost interactor with the custodian. Maybe,
yeah.
She's the one that safeguards the custodian.
Yeah.
She's almost like an administrator. I think maybe that takes questions to the custodian.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Maybe.
So her introduction of Wesley the custodian is essentially her making an introduction to of the most gifted intellectually child on the Enterprise to their foremost intellect, which is the custodian.
Yeah. But the custodian hasn't had any maintenance performed on it in God
and
knows
that's
how long.
So that's why turning Wesley's interaction directly to Duana, like, his chain of questions leads to, when was the last time this thing was updated? And she's like, it's fine.
She's like, what's updated?
What do you mean updated? It's perfect. Everything's working great, you know? And Wes is like very astutely like, no. All computers need an update, like routinely.
Yeah.
It's a machine. Like, and she's like, no, it's perfect.
Yeah.
Everything's going great. It served us so well.
And you can see the panic in her eyes that she doesn't know some of these answers because these questions are coming quick and furious. And he's like, where's the power source? I don't know.
Yeah.
And she's like, why do you need to know that?
Uh-huh.
And then, like, the custodian doesn't seem much more helpful.
It's just, yeah. It's almost like there's shades of idiocracy in this.
Yeah, there are. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Because she's like, it does everything for us.
Yeah.
Why would we need to do anything for it?
Don't worry about that.
She's like, look, let's go learn math.
Yeah.
Do you know addition? So anyways, then
got all the Rosetta Stones.
Then Wes is like, custodian, can you violate the privacy on every single one of these homes that these kids are in?
Oh, yeah.
Can you please show me where...
show me all the children.
Yeah, show me where Harry is.
I need video feeds of the children.
And we see Harry learning to use his sculpting tool.
Yeah.
Not very well.
Well, not at first.
Yeah, well, everything takes time. And then Duana, like, he's peeping a couple of the kids, and he's like, custodian, can you show me Rochelle's room, preferably last night around, I don't know, what time does she get undressed?
What time does she take a shower?
What time does she take a shower? Sure, Wesley, here. No, anyways, Duana's like, okay, Wes, just enough with the peeping on the kids thing. Wes is like, I know, there's a door right there. What's through that door? And she's like, I don't know. He's like, really? How do you not? Really? You're the keeper of the custodian?
She's kind of an idiot.
She's dummy. So anyways, there is, so then Picard and Radu are they're talking via Skype or whatever. And Picard is telling Radu, he's like, okay, well, no, we're ready to negotiate. We'll do it. I'd like Crusher to be there. And he's like, oh, you just want that because that's Wes's mom. And he's like, no. It's Starfleet Regulation 57.19 that says that every away team has to have a licensed medical.
2 senior officers.
Yeah, and professional people there. And then he's like, oh, okay, that's fine. That's cool. It's all good. Radu, like, cuts out. And then Data's like, Captain Picard, I don't remember. I don't know that regulation. And Picard says, neither do I. And Picard's like, I see, sir. Oh,
I see, sir.
I see, sir.
That's a fun moment, but it is definitely a missed joke opportunity. Like, you could have kept back and Data would be like, Captain Picard, procedure 275.9 is actually every officer should have due access to a latrine. Or, you know, something like that. I don't know why I knew they'd do a poop joke.
That's uniform code. Men have to wear dresses the first year that they're on a starship. See, that would explain some continuity there.
In the early episode.
Yeah.
I thought that dude looked good in that dress.
If I had a body like that, I'd be sporting a dress.
That
all
guy
the
had
time.
nice legs.
He had good legs.
Yeah.
So negotiations begin with Picard basically just laying into Radu. He's really, really towing this line of like, oh yeah, I want him to think that I'm negotiating, but he can't help himself but lecturing Radu.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I'm probably gonna piss him off, but I have to say this. I have to get it out. It's like Twitter. Radu, and so like Picard. Oh, so their main point is, well, you guys can't have kids. What makes you think that it's not something here on the planet that's keeping you guys from having kids? And vis-a-vis, our kids aren't going to be able to have kids either. And they're like, no, it's genetic. It would never be something that's contagious. And
Radu is very confident in this fact too.
Yeah, he is.
He's immediately like, he's so dismissive. He's just like, no. Our problem is genetic. Your children will be fine.
Yeah. Picard insists that Crusher see Wes, and Radu is like, oh, you're very stubborn. Fine, I'll let you do that. And then Crusher and Wes pull off this little gambit that was actually kind of cute. She goes in there with the tricorder in a pocket and the little satellite scanning device that comes out of that detaches from the tricorder. And her and Wes, under the supervision of Duana, they hug, but she gives him the old slipperoo, hands it over to Wes. Mm-hmm. Wes then goes over to Duana. Oh, yeah, she's fantastic. She's really top. She's a great person. And he's like scanning her. She's not looking back at him at all. She's like, oh, yeah, I'm great. Awesome. Cool. Yeah, I'm very smart. And he's like, he does that. Then he slips it back to Crusher so that she has the information she needs to figure out why the hell these people can't have kids.
And then back in the ready room, Crusher's like instantly like, oh, she's a dullard.
Yeah.
I'm just joking.
Yeah.
That'd be funny if that happened.
She's like, gee, that lady's so dumb.
She's not very bright.
I was able to find her SAT scores from this tricorder. Anyways, let's see here. They go back. They get beamed back to the Enterprise. Radu then gets up on the view screen and says, by the way, Enterprise, to let you know that we're super duper serious about this, a demonstration of our power. And then like this repulsor beam comes out from behind the planet and like blasts the Enterprise 3 days away from the planet at warp 9. So they are sent like light years away.
Yeah, it's weird. That beam essentially is so powerful that it makes them travel 3 days at warp 9 at faster the speed of light in the span of maybe 45 seconds, 45 to 90 seconds.
Yeah. It sort of seems like that'd break some laws.
Yeah.
Of something. So I don't get how that works.
Nope.
It's kind of goofy.
Yeah.
To be honest with you. You probably wouldn't see that in like season 5 or 6.
No.
Anyways. 2 days later, the Enterprise is on its way back. They're about 20 hours out. And Picard says, we are no closer to a solution. We're still figuring out what the hell we're going to do. We get a shot of Katie with her creep-ass new old parent guy. And she's got that Simon device.
Yeah, it's like a musical instrument, but it straight up looks like that old board game. It's still a board game. Like I think one of my
blue, red, yellow, orange.
friend's kid had it, and I played with it a couple days ago.
Yeah,
it's like that thing. You just press the different buttons.
You got to do the patterns.
A sequence. Yeah,
it's good stuff. Yeah, I played with one not that long ago.
Yeah,
it's pretty fun. So, anyways, but yeah, so she's like trying to do the music thing. First, like she's not very good, but then he's like, no, you got to reach deep within, and then let the music do whatever. And then she starts jamming out on this tune.
Plays a very nice, soft, like kind of sad tune.
Yeah, it's like some
pleasant.
new age Yanni types. Isn't that what Yanni did?
I guess.
Was Yanni?
It's synthesizer stuff.
Yeah.
But it's very pleasant.
Yeah.
And the old dude's like, oh, that's great. Now play something happy.
Well, that's the thing. It's funny because I watch everything with subtitles these days because children. And it said on the thing, it says melancholy music plays.
Oh, funny.
So yeah, so like they're giving you the idea that yeah, she's playing a bummer track, and he says play something happier, and then she says no, I'm sad, you suck.
She says I don't feel that way.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Which is actually kind of a nice moment.
Yeah, it
is.
Like,
it
totally
no,
is.
You took me for my parents, and you're a creepy old dude. I'd like to be with my parents.
Yeah, I saw a camera you placed in the bathroom, so.
Jesus Christ.
And so
I mean, apparently the custodian just has cameras everywhere.
He's got cameras everywhere, man. That's the future.
Custodian
it's kind of the now, to be honest with you.
I'm just gonna spit this out there. The villain of this episode is straight up the custodian.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
He's like radiating everybody too.
Yeah, but willfully, right?
Yeah.
He's essentially like, but also like has put the ideas in Radu and others' heads that it's their genetic fault that they're dying and unable to procreate.
Yeah, you would think it's... Yeah, I mean, you'd think at some point...
On some level, that the custodian as a super advanced computer must understand that its own existence is poisoning the people of the planet.
Yeah.
And the information that it feeds it should contain a report to that effect.
They should be like 30 years ago, custodian, why is nobody getting pregnant?
Yeah.
I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. It must be your fault.
It's definitely a genetic issue. It's not. It's nothing to do with me or the horrifying amounts of radiation that I know I'm kicking out. It's all your problem.
Yeah, I am the best computer, and he's not very forthcoming in this episode either.
Yeah,
he just sort of answers. He doesn't offer up anything. So, anyways, meanwhile, Harry is sculpting. And
doing better?
Yeah, he's doing better. He's getting, and he has sort of pleasant conversations. Like his new parents are fairly pleasant. And he's like, "Do I have to do calculus?" And they're like, "No, you only get to do what you want to do. What's calculus?" And I'm like, "Oh, it is idiocracy."
Yeah.
And then the Enterprise finally arrives to the planet. Radu says they'll see them soon. Picard wants Data to pierce the shields. Crusher comes in and reports that the Aldeans, she's like, "Oh, I figured it out. They are fucked. So much radiation. The sensitivity to the light, like their pale, weird skin."
She doesn't know what the source of the radiation is yet, but she likens it to, she's like, it's like something that happened in the later 20th and early 21st centuries as the ozone layer started to deplete and the sun's rays started to really... hammer Earth in a way.
It's like the 15th episode where they have to say that we're shitty here in the present time.
I mean, we're not great.
Yeah, that's true.
Could be better.
Could be better.
Now you got to die of something.
You know? So next up we have Harry's parents. She's like putting on makeup to cover her lesions. Lesions. Sorry. Lesions, not legions. Lesions. And then he has crafted in small amount of time a fucking nice looking dolphin.
Very nice dolphin, actually.
Yeah. And he has to explain to them what a dolphin is. They're like, "That's awesome, Harry. What is it?" And he's like, "It's a fucking dolphin. It's like a fish, but not." And she's like, "Oh, fish. We used to have those in our oceans." And I'm like, oh,
they
God.
Don't have fish anymore?
Yeah.
This planet is straight up idiocracy.
It's fucked. It's messed up.
It's just,
and if you look at it,
they've given away any human or any existential responsibility away to a computer.
Yeah.
And have in some way, in some advances of that computer, gotten some benefits, but by and large, what they've lost far outweighs it. Like, first and foremost, they can't procreate, but also like their planet's so fucked that they don't have like fish anymore.
And if you look, the thing is, if you look at the exterior of their planet, it's like it looks like Mars now.
Yeah.
It's like an orange, barren wasteland. Like, do they even have oceans like on the surface? Maybe they're subsurface. I don't know.
Well, they also never go outside, so that sort of like begs a question. So at some point, the custodian just moved them all inside and had them build thicker walls.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah. It's a mess. It seems like a freaking nightmare to live there.
Yeah.
So anyways, so they're like, "What is a dolphin?" "Oh, it's like a fish, but not." And then Harry's like, "Yeah, me and my dad used to go all the time to..." Oh, never mind. It just got awkward because I mentioned my real dad. So everybody's sad about that. Rochelle is with Alexandra, who starts muttering, "I want my mommy." Wes is eating dinner with Radu and Duana, and he explains, "Yeah, we don't want to be here, and we're not going to cooperate." Late at night, Wes sneaks to the custodian, and he's able to sort of figure out where all the kids are. He sneaks around to gather them all for kind of a peaceful protest type thing. Back on the Enterprise, Crusher determines that they're suffering from radiation poisoning. Meanwhile, Geordi was able to find a hole in the planet's shields, and Picard's like, "All right, you guys are going to go down there and disable their shields."
Yep.
Meanwhile, all the kids are gathered together, and they're on their hunger strike. Harry's new mom brings them a delicious-looking fruit platter.
That fruit platter, it looked good.
It looked really good.
There's some good-looking fruit on there.
They're really good. Wes was like, "No, don't eat, Alexander." She's like, "I'm hungry." He's like, "We can't Strong. Wes is strong, but he's like also very comforting.
Very
in this
comforting.
episode.
It's hard to turn a good strawberry, though. There's some good-looking strawberries on that platter.
Yeah, I know. It looked pretty good. Riker and Data beam down as Picard and Crusher beam down because they're like sort of being all sneaky about it because they figure, oh, they're beaming them down. They're not going to notice. If Riker and Data are beaming down because they puncture the shields, Picard and Crusher are beaming down because that's what they're Aldans are doing that.
Yeah.
So anyways, Riker and Data go down. They find the custodian, and so they get up to whatever business they're going to do. Meanwhile, Radu tells Picard, he's like, I don't know how to deal with these kids, man. You need to tell them. Like, didn't that tell Radu something? You can't figure out these kids. You're asking Picard to like tell these kids to acquiesce.
Yeah.
Like, no, bro, no, no.
They haven't dealt with kids in 30 years. So
Yeah.
And they're also clearly not that bright a race, honestly.
No, they're not.
They've
They're
just
not.
given up so much control and thought to the computer.
Yeah. You'd have thought like it probably wouldn't have been too difficult for Picard to have verbally, mentally, emotionally manipulated them to get the kids back anyways.
Yeah.
But Radu and them, they're all kind of like grown ass children anyways.
Yep.
Let's see here. Picard goes, oh yeah. So Picard's like, yeah, I'll go talk to the kids. Sure. He goes to the kids. Harry, in a nice little moment, asks Picard to tell his dad that he misses him. And Picard's like, you're going to tell him that, Harry. We're not out of the shit yet, but we'll figure it out. And then the little girl, Alexandra, goes and asks for a hug. And it's a cute little moment. Patrick Stewart's so good at expressing Picard's, awkwardness and discomfort around kids.
The runner of Picard being awkward or not really knowing how to act around kids throughout the entire series is pretty satisfying.
It is, yeah.
This moment is fun. Mm-hmm. That little girl that played Alexander is actually really good.
Yeah, she's charismatic.
There's a lot of like really good character actors on this show throughout the 90s.
Yeah. Oh my
like,
God, yeah.
At a very young age, Kristen Dunst was on the show. Nikki Cox.
Nikki Cox on the show, yeah.
Yeah. And this little girl is among them for sure.
The kid from, was it Silver Spoons? Ricky Schroeder.
Ricky Schroeder?
No.
Jason Bateman.
Was he on? He wasn't on.
He was on Silver Spoons.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking of somebody else then. I'm thinking of, oh man. Who's the kid who played the human boy who was growing up in that like culture, and he was like, I think he was found in like some sort of battle with Starfleet, and Enterprise runs across one of their ships, and they're like, whoa, this is a human kid. He's a little blonde kid, and he had a hard time acclimating to human culture on the Enterprise. And then like,
oh man, I vaguely remember that episode. I don't remember.
Like he accidentally spilled some ice cream on him, and he laughed for the first time ever. It's a really good episode.
Yeah. Yeah,
you'll dig it when we get to it. It was a really good one. But I think he was a child actor too. Mm-hmm. Anyway. So yeah, Picard, let's see, Radu. Picard and the kids all beam over to Radu, and Radu's like, why did you do that? Picard contacts, right? He's like, why'd you do this? You're ridiculous. You're out of here. And Picard asks if Riker is in. Oh, that's right. Picard contacts Riker, and he's like, we're in position, sir. So they're cooking up something. Crusher and Picard try to tell Radu, listen, it's radiation poisoning. That's the deal. And Radu is very dismissive. He's like, no.
That's not what my computer
says.
The computer that's slowly poisoning me told me something totally different.
And he's like, you're going to leave now. Fucking thing doesn't work. And so Picard's like, Riker, were you able to do it? And he's like, yes, I was. I was able to take out the computer temporarily. We have control of the power source or whatever. And then Rochelle is like, Rochelle is the one who's like, hey, let's hear them out at least. Let's talk to them. And then Picard's like, all right, well, we won here. Enterprise, beam us away. And Harry stops him. And he's like, hold on a second. And he's like, hey, he talks to his new parents, old parents. And he's like, you guys are pretty cool. And they're like, yeah, you're pretty cool. And they're like, you want your dolphin? And he's like, no, you can have a dolphin to be a remembrance of something you're never going to have. So Harry kind of gets the ultimate win there. Then we go down to the power center where all the radiation is. They all go there. And Radu has zero idea what this thing is. He's like, oh my God, look at this. It's so great. And then he's suddenly like on the same page.
Yeah.
He's like, well, I see which way the tide is turning here. And he's like, this thing has been destroying us this entire time. I am so wise to now go in this direction.
Yeah. Maybe because it's red. I don't know. Is it? First of all, I mean, so this is back in the late 80s.
Red means danger.
Yeah.
You must be right.
That giant column is red. It has been killing us. The way that they set this shot up would definitely have been the power core or memory core, whatever it is, of the custodian is just a model.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
It's a very beautiful model.
It really is. It's
very impressive.
Yeah.
So they do a shot. They do a couple shots of the model of the power core itself, just straight on, and they also do some inserts where in the lower corner of the screen you can see people walking through a door and seeing this giant thing because it's supposed to be probably like 150, 250 feet high, somewhere around there, in this black area. And it's a giant like red column with shapes around it and other like structures and stuff. It's super abstract, but really cool looking.
Yeah.
So they would have done that as a matte shot in like on half of the frame, and then the other half is just like another shot from a warehouse that they put in the lower corner to give it like spatial reference. But it is such a cool model of the power core. I was just like, I actually paused several times and just looked at it. I was like, man. That must have taken a lot of work.
Yeah, it was really well done.
Really
yeah.
neat.
Yeah. And I understand, and that's probably why like we got a couple of really good shots.
Yeah.
They really, because we're down like the last couple minutes of the episode. So yeah, he gets all preachy, and Picard's like, "We'll help you if you want." And he was like, "Yes, please help us. I have determined that we need help."
Yeah.
So anyways, back on the Enterprise, Harry and his dad have a conversation about art. He's like, I want to be an artist, but I don't want to do calculus. He's like, well, you can be an artist, but you got to do calculus. On the bridge, Data has indicated, he's like, yeah, no, everything's been fixed, but they can't ever use that shield again because that was really killing them. Crusher says that they're responding really well to the treatment. Wes then brings Alexandra on the bridge, and Picard, by instinct, gets pissed off. He's like, Wesley!
Again, children really shouldn't be on the bridge. It is inappropriate.
Yeah, it is.
Wes does lead Alexandra on the bridge. She wants to thank Picard for saving her, which is very sweet. She's got flowers. And she also has a thing that she's had actually with her throughout the episode.
Oh, like, yeah.
I wasn't 100% sure if it was a stuffed animal or like an alien pet kind of thing.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Initially, when she gets kidnapped from her mother, from her parents, she's playing with it on the ground. And when I first saw it, I was like, oh, is that like a space guinea pig?
Yeah.
Because it's like she's playing with it, and then there's like a plastic dome. But it also just could be like a weird hairball toy. So
yeah, Bannon has
either way.
Yeah, she has a couple that
she has it, and she sort of pets it throughout the episode as sort of a comfort thing when she's away from her mother. She has it on the planet and stuff. But she has that in one hand on the bridge, and then flowers in the other hand, and she gives Picard the flowers. Does he hug her?
Yeah, I think they hug because he ends up with the thing on his back.
He gives another hug, and he puts her down, and he's like, Wes, get her off the bridge. This is inappropriate. And then he turns around, and the hairball thing is like the toy or whatever. Let's say it's a toy. Stuck to the back of his sleeve. He's walking, and everybody watches him walk by, and it's a fun comedic moment because all the bridge officers are like,
they all start chuckling behind his back.
Captain's got a hairball stuck.
He looks like an asshole.
Look at that jackass.
Yeah, and he gets all mad.
But it is fun, and it's actually a very overall, it's a sweet episode, and I hadn't seen it in a while, but I'd recommend it.
It's a hard watchable, for sure. I think it's a really good episode. I really liked it. So that was good stuff. So anyways. Thanks so much for watching. We'll have another episode for you next week of The Four Lights. And until next time, we'll talk to you guys later.